I'm gonna tell you the first thing I tell motherfuckers is you don't even really want to get in this business for real. This is a business. It's like, you know what I'm saying, it's give or take. It's like a whole lot of times it don't even got nothing to do with your talent.
Aaliyah, what they did with her is the same thing that Quaker Mutua talks about in his thing, where he talks about they could get the energy of a young girl and put them in the bed with an old man, and they can draw her energy. Aaliyah, what they did with Aaliyah is although they sacrificed it, they did the movie Akasha.
Static Major didn't just write songs, he wrote the truth, and some believe that's exactly why he's no longer here. Before his sudden death in 2008, Static was hinting at something bigger, something darker. He never said it out loud, but those close to him believe he knew who was really behind Aaliyah's passing, and he wasn't going to stay quiet forever. That's what scared people. Aaliyah's plane crash was ruled an accident, but Static didn't buy it. He started keeping a secret diary. In it, he wrote names, dates, and events that didn't match the public story. And when parts of that diary leaked, people were stunned. It wasn't just about music. It was about what really happened behind the scenes, things no one wanted out. He and Aaliyah were more than just collaborators. They were close. Some even said they dated. He knew her heart, her struggles, and who was circling around her. And after she passed, Static changed. He got quieter, more careful, like he was carrying something heavy. Then, just as he was ready to go solo and finally tell his story, he died. Sudden medical issue, no full explanation, no autopsy released, and his diary gone.
R&B star Stephen Garrett was laid to rest today. Known in the music industry as Static, Garrett died Monday from complications from a medical procedure.
But that wasn't the whole story. People close to Static Major say he never got over Aaliyah's death. It shook him, not just emotionally, but spiritually. He believed something wasn't right, that she didn't just pass in a crash. He felt it in his gut, and he started writing everything down. That's where the rumors of Static's diary come in, a hidden journal where he reportedly wrote about what he saw in the music industry, who was pulling the strings, who was being used, and who was being thrown away. Names, places, conversations. He couldn't say it publicly, but he documented it privately. Some pages leaked online. The writing was cryptic, but heavy. Some believe it hinted that Aaliyah's passing wasn't just bad luck, it was planned. He wrote that too many pure souls were being targeted, and he feared he might be next. Then suddenly, Static died, just 33 years old. A healthy man one day, gone the next. His family filed a lawsuit against the hospital, claiming negligence. But no autopsy ever came out. No deep investigation, just silence. And the diary, it vanished. Some say it was taken. Others believe it still exists, locked away by someone who doesn't want the truth coming out. And what happened next would shock everyone. One of the most disturbing parts of this story is what happened just before Aaliyah's final flight. According to a witness named Kingsley Russell, Aaliyah didn't want to board the plane. She had a headache and went back to a taxi, saying she felt tired and needed rest. She was done filming her video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas and just wanted to relax, but someone from her team allegedly gave her a pill. Minutes later, Aaliyah was unconscious. She didn't walk onto that plane, she was carried. Why would someone force her to fly in that state? Why was the plane overloaded? And why were people who saw it made to sign non-disclosure agreements? What kind of accident needs NDAS? The official story says engine failure caused the crash, but many in the industry say that doesn't add up. It was a clear day, a small flight, and yet it dropped straight to the ground right after takeoff.
After taking off for Florida in perfect weather, suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented singer and actress. Jeff Roston is live in Times Square with more on her life. Jeff.
And Aaliyah had a huge following not only here in New York City, but nationwide. Only 22 years old, this pop sensation was a popular singer. She was an actress in some movies recently, even a Grammy nominee. Tonight, her family is in mourning. Fans asking, why her? Relatives in shock outside Aaliyah's home on the Upper West Side. The R&B star lived here at the Century, Central Park West and 63rd. She was on a small plane heading to Florida from the Bahamas, where she was shooting a music video.
Mary J. Blige even said Aaliyah's passing was spiritual murder, not just a loss, but something done to her. She said it wasn't her time. Others close to Aaliyah felt the same. And Static? He knew about these details. He was asking questions no one wanted to answer. He felt Aaliyah was set up, and the more he uncovered, the more cautious he became. But there was another reason people think Aaliyah was targeted, and it had to do with the powerful men around her. Aaliyah wasn't just a rising star, star, she was a threat to powerful men in the music business. And the deeper you look, the darker it gets. We all know about R. Kelly. He didn't just date Aaliyah, he illegally married her when she was only 15. That's not a rumor, that's confirmed. In court, his former tour manager admitted he bribed a government worker to get Aaliyah a fake ID so R. Kelly could cover up a possible pregnancy. But it didn't stop with him. Jay-Z was also interested in Aaliyah. According to Dame Dash, who Aaliyah chose over Jay wasn't happy about it. Dame said Jay-Z knew what R. Kelly did and still worked with him. And after Aaliyah rejected him, Jay's obsession grew. Jaguar Wright later claimed that Jay-Z wanted Aaliyah out of the way to punish Dame and to make room for Beyonce, who was still rising at the time.
She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs. Why would you need to sign a non-disclosure agreement about a plane crash?
And then there's Diddy. Aaliyah was seen at his all-white parties. Some insiders claim Jay used Diddy's influence to try and control Aaliyah, possibly getting her hooked on substances to make her easier to manipulate. These are heavy accusations, but the power dynamic was real. Aaliyah was surrounded by older, powerful men who saw her as something to use or remove. Static saw it. He was close enough to know the truth. And the industry's silence after both their deaths? That's what makes it even more chilling. After Aaliyah passed, something shifted in Static Major, not just in his behavior, but in his music. He kept writing hits for other artists. Genuine, Brandy, Lil Wayne.
What was it like working with Static? Now, Static a beast. But you know, they was a whole group. Static was a part of a group, and they was signed to Cash Money. He just was the lead of the group. Yeah, and so that they had a little R&B group, and he was the lead of that group. So he was like, he would you know what I mean? He was navigating whatever they was doing. He had songs that he'd have hooks for and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Everybody wouldn't take to him, but I told you, me, being a little different about the women and the way I approach women. So let me hear that, the lollipop one, I got something for that, and that's how I...
But behind the scenes, he was working on something deeper. His solo album, Supper Time, was almost finished before he died, but people who heard the unreleased songs say it wasn't just about love or partying. The lyrics felt darker, more emotional. Some tracks reportedly hinted at Aaliyah's death and what really happened behind closed doors. He was finally stepping into the spotlight, telling his own story. But right before the album dropped, Static died. No full autopsy, no album release, no answers. To this day, Supper Time has never been heard in full. Some believe the album held secrets, and that Static used his music to say what he couldn't say out loud, but what was he afraid of? And why was his message silenced before the world could hear it? That's where the mystery deepens. Static Major wasn't the only one who died young after getting too close to the truth. Think about it. Aaliyah gone at 22, Static gone at 33. Both deaths came at moments when they were on the edge of something big. Aaliyah was becoming a movie star. Static was stepping into his solo career. Then, just like that, they were both gone, and they weren't the only ones. DMX also spoke out about the dark side of the industry and how people are used, then tossed aside. He too passed under questionable circumstances. When you line it all up, it starts to feel like a pattern. The artists who speak up, the ones who protect others, often don't last long. Static once said the business wasn't about talent. It was about decisions, power, and who you stood next to. He made it clear, this industry can eat you alive. But Static didn't just warn people, he lived it. And what came out in one of his last interviews sent a chill through anyone paying attention. In one of Static Major's final interviews, his tone was different, more serious, more cautious. He looked straight into the camera and said, "This is a messed up business. It ain't about talent, it's about choices and who's around you." It wasn't just advice, it sounded like a warning. Static was letting people know that the industry hides things, that behind the music and fame, there are dark deals, dangerous people, and silent threats. He didn't name names, but he didn't have to. His body language said enough. You could feel the weight in his voice, like he was holding back, like he knew something he couldn't say yet. People close to him said he wanted to speak out. He was just waiting for the right time. He believed his story, and Aaliyah's, needed to be told. But that moment never came. And just when he was ready to release his truth through music, it all ended. But the silence left behind still speaks volumes. Static Major's solo album Supper Time was nearly complete. It was supposed to be his big comeback, the moment he stepped out of the background and told his truth. But after his sudden death, the entire project vanished. No release, no track list, list, no official statement. People who worked on the album said the songs had a deeper message. Some lyrics hinted at betrayal, secrecy, and even guilt. One track allegedly mentioned Aaliyah in a way that raised eyebrows. It didn't sound like just another love song. It sounded like a cry for justice. Insiders believe Static used that album to expose what really happened. But once he passed, the project was shelved, locked away, and forgotten. To this day, fans wonder, where is Supper Time? Did someone make sure it never came out? And what was he really trying to say in those songs? Because if Static was using music to tell the truth, someone clearly didn't want us to hear it. And what we learn next makes it all even more chilling. Here's the part that still haunts fans and insiders alike. Aaliyah never agreed to get on that plane. Eyewitness Kingsley Russell, whose family ran the taxi business in the Bahamas, said Aaliyah refused to board. She was tired, had a headache, and went back to the car. Then, someone from her team gave her a pill. Moments later, she was unconscious, and they carried her onto the flight. That's not the story the public was told. The official report blamed the crash on too much luggage and a failed engine, but many believe that was just a cover. Why would someone be drugged and carried onto an overloaded plane? Why were witnesses asked to sign non-disclosure agreements? It doesn't sound like an accident. It sounds like someone made sure Aaliyah got on that plane, whether she wanted to or not. And if Static knew about this, it makes sense why he kept notes, why he feared for his life. And in the final point, we ask the question no one wants to face. Static Major wasn't just mourning Aaliyah, he was investigating her death in his own quiet way. He knew things didn't add up. He saw the pressure, the manipulation, and the powerful men circling her. He kept a diary, he wrote cryptic lyrics. He planned to speak up when the time was right, but he never got that chance. Static walked into a hospital with flu-like symptoms and shortness of breath. Days later, he was gone. No autopsy was released, no clear cause. His family sued the hospital and settled out of court, but the truth never came out. And just like that, another voice that could have exposed the industry's secrets was silenced. So now, we're left with questions. Was Static's death just another tragedy, or something more? Did he know the truth about Aaliyah's passing, and was someone afraid of what he might say? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Was this all just coincidence, or were they really silenced before they could speak?